Nice little Sunday video as we head into this new week. This Bitcoin chart, the structure that you see here, approaching the apex. Something big, I think, in terms of crypto getting ready to happen now after we've had some nice consolidation, a little choppy waters for Bitcoin. It's going to affect, obviously, Bitcoin price. It's going to affect the general crypto markets. That's what I want to talk about in this video. So we're going to dive into the Bitcoin charts. And from an altcoin perspective, we are going to dive into the Cardano charts, zoomed in even, and talk about the next potential move for Cardano. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video. Before we start dissecting Bitcoin price movements, what to anticipate going into this new week, I want to start here for one moment because it's one thing that I'm watching. Not sure what will happen right now in regards to this chart, but this is a US dollar currency index. We want to see it fall. That's what we want to see. If we want to see risk on assets like crypto have a better shot of breaking out to the upside. And right now, I'm kind of watching. You can see over the last few weeks or so, a couple of weeks, actually, yeah, 3 weeks, and then we had a red week right here. But you can see a little bit of an uptrend for US dollar currency index right now at this lower high Fibonacci resistance area that you see here in red and green. That's a resistance area. So going into this new week for crypto, will this hold as resistance, and will this start consolidating sideways or down? That could be a very good thing for Bitcoin and for crypto. Before we dive into the Bitcoin short-term charts, because we are approaching the apex, this is a daily chart. We're getting close, and the Bitcoin halving right there also at the apex. I want to go over here on the monthly chart, and I just want to make one note of something. There have been there's been a lot of similarities with Bitcoin last cycle at halving, and also the cycle of 2016 halving. There's been a lot of similarities with both, but there truly has been a lot of similarities with Bitcoin price movement, even going into the halving, similar to 2016, into that 2016 halving. The one thing I just want to make a note of on the monthly chart is this consolidation that took place on Bitcoin charts at Bitcoin halving. Now, at the same time, I just want to say this, Bitcoin just got off a resistance at this bull market door. It's a lower high Fibonacci on the macro, meaning bull market high to bear market low, and this swing high, lower high resistance level. Bitcoin was just coming off rejection there at the Bitcoin halving. What is different this cycle around is the very fact that Bitcoin has broken that area already. And right now, even if we just look at the weekly chart, this is the weekly here, Bitcoin is actually looking very similar to last cycle, right? And that is, look at this consolidation just above the Bitcoin bull market doors, similar consolidation above the Bitcoin bull market doors, obviously happening way sooner than over here. This was months after the Bitcoin having last cycle, but a lot of similarities in terms of price action. But we're going to get an answer now in terms of this consolidation question, this question of, is Bitcoin and crypto going to dip? I think we're going to get an answer very soon. It's a daily chart. You can just see if we measure like seven daily candles, it's probably going to bring us, very close to that apex area that we're anticipating. Right on the 14th is really that apex area. That doesn't mean we can't break out sooner, but right now as we head into the new week, and it's a little bit earlier, I like to do Sunday videos at night when we get a new weekly candle. Not going to be available to do that later, but this is what I'm watching for. Right now, Bitcoin has made the move, right? From swing high to swing low to swing high to swing low so nicely. And from a technical analysis perspective, just look at this movement. Swing high to swing low. Look at this. Look at that lower high resistance at the Fibonacci. Let's get rid of that. And then we had that swing low to swing high. Check this out. This is a higher low Fibonacci support. And now we're just squeezing. It's the story of Bitcoin consolidation right now, from swing high to swing low, Bitcoin within this new Fibonacci resistance now. The question will be, is Bitcoin going to see resistance here, similar to how we saw resistance at this lower high Fibonacci? And is Bitcoin going to come down and start testing, $65,000 or so? That's the next target to the downside, is that range. It's a Fibonacci range, right? We have the move to the upper trend line area. We're not there yet, but we're just below it. We're at the lower high Fibonacci. The question will be, from a lower high to this current swing high, if there's resistance here, or let's just say Bitcoin makes a little bit of a move to the upper trend line. Let's speculate a little bit. Either way, is there going to be resistance in this general area, this lower high area? Bitcoin comes down and tests this higher low area. That range around 66,800 to around 65,700 or so, very small range. And you can just see the move to the downside it's not a huge move because we're really consolidating from a Bitcoin price perspective into the apex of this triangle. It's just squeezing the price into the apex. And that's why oftentimes when we get setups like this, as we approach the apex of a pattern like this, that's usually why we start seeing, okay, we're going to break down at that moment towards the apex. It's just gotten squeezed so much, or break up because it's gotten squeezed so much. So that's kind of what I'm watching for in terms of price movement. Now, what happens here on the Bitcoin chart, it's going to really just be a very nice visualization and roadmap for what's happening probably in the broader crypto space. And the question is, does some of it have to do what happens with the US dollar currency index going into this new week? It could have something to do with that. Targets, just to give you an idea out of this structure, will give us a sense of, okay, what do we need to prepare ourselves mentally, right? And that would be a bullish scenario where we have a target to the upside almost around 90,000, bearish scenario, target to the downside in the lower 50s, right? That's a huge gap right there. But right now, all this structure and consolidation that has taken place over the course of weeks now, you can just see this has been a buildup getting ready for that moment where I think we're going to get some type of move, right? So when we get a breakout, either to the upside or to the downside, let's look at the upper trend line, for example, just above $70,000. We get the breakout. The next step for me will be watching a potential pullback or throwback to the triangle. And just what kind of power move is it? Are we getting separation from that area? That's always what I'm looking for. But either way, a break above this trend line would be very bullish for Bitcoin. The one thing that we want to see is Bitcoin really, truly make a power move on the momentum oscillator, because right now you can just see Bitcoin really just hanging down here in the unknown territory, we're looking at right around 55. So this thing can go one way or another as we approach this Bitcoin apex. And so that's what I'll be really watching as we go into this new week. Can we break this upper trend line? And if not, does support down towards the lower trend line hold for Bitcoin? Notice the 50-day moving average confluent at that area. Let's go over to Cardano and start talking about Cardano. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to start this. I've been saying a lot, Cardano is very much on pace. It is testing everybody's patience if you're an ADA holder, especially me. I have to do these videos all the time. I have to deal with comments all the time because there's this narrative that ADA is underperforming, like it's just being left out. But I compared ADA to Ethereum, right, from October lows. And ADA has outperformed Ethereum since that moment. ADA is not being left out of anything, and ADA is doing exactly what it's done previous cycles. I'm going to throw out there bullish data for ADA right now. But I want to just be very clear before I talk about ADA price and everything that I'm going to discuss in terms of upside for ADA. ADA could diverge from what I'm about to say, and it might not do what I'm about to show you. So there is risk. Bitcoin's falling, US dollar currency index rising. Cardano could do something that doesn't look great on the charts. And we'll talk about that in this video as well. But I just want to say this. I'm very much a Cardano bull, but we have to be very realistic and respect the technicals and the setups that are happening right now. But if you've been watching my channel, you know the structure that we've seen right here and even this dip is very similar to structure back here and the dip over here. At this moment, and we're talking about mid-December, right? Bitcoin was kind of doing what it's doing now, and that is breaking all-time highs. And ADA, as you can see, was very well off of its all-time high. ADA is in a very similar boat. Let's dissect Cardano, zoomed in on the charts. Then to do that, I want to lay a little bit of context for this, and I just want to show a clip. This is from a few weeks ago, March 12th. Check it out. ADA is at 74 cents. So I just want to make a note of it. If ADA falls through that 20-day moving average, and we're falling 20%, it would be normal for ADA not to have this breakout moment yet. That wasn't fun to say that. It wasn't fun to imagine that would be the case, but that is exactly what happened. And this is the normal move. If ADA would have broken out here, it wouldn't have been the normal thing for ADA to do at this part of the cycle based on historical data that we have. And yeah, that's in an environment where everybody's saying, man, ADA's being left out. So many people might be like, see, ADA fell. It is being left out. And it's just not the case. And I've been consistently showing that data. But right now, the move that happened with ADA is the normal move. And it is very much based on kind of what ADA was doing, again, at this time last cycle when Bitcoin, and here we are, we're talking about mid-December 2020, this December 2020 area, Bitcoin's in all-time high territory, just like right now. And ADA, was it left out? I guess in that very moment, yeah, 33% dip for ADA. That's the move. And this is the move that just happened for ADA at this very similar time of this cycle. Just in my view, 30% dip for ADA to the lower trend line here. Now, let's talk about the move though. Let's be realistic and really just put emotion aside. When I look at the chart and I look at the consistency and say, you know what, this is normal, that's all good. This would mean if things continue to repeat for ADA, and this is the bullish aspect of the chart right now. If things continue to repeat for ADA could very much be getting ready to make a power move to the upside. And if we go back to the chart now, the power move to the upside, and I think I did this in the last video that we did for ADA. We took this swing high back here to all the way to swing low. And we just said, you know what? If a similar thing happens, right? Swing high to swing low to the next swing high, guess what? ADA, and check out, we can slow it down a little bit, but look at that similarity of structure, insane. ADA could be very well getting ready to slowly, and this is a daily, slowly make its way into Bitcoin halving to the upside. And I'll do another video on this to kind of really talk about Bitcoin halving and how this plays into ADA. I'll do a Cardano specific video, but ADA going to halving could see some upside. This is what ADA did last cycle around Bitcoin halving. If we go look at Bitcoin halving, what was ADA doing? It was, you see this yellow line, ADA was making its move to the upside, right? Last Bitcoin halving. So we go back to the daily chart right now and we say this is the bullish move. ADA, maybe it still has some choppy waters, consolidation, wrestling with this lower trend line, but this could be the bullish scenario. And we could be going into halving with an uptrend, and we could be testing 90 cents to $1 shortly thereafter. And then we can start talking about, hey, can we break this upper trend line finally and get a monster breakout for ADA, right? We're talking about $1.50 and on its way up and entering its bull market, similar to what happened last cycle at this moment, right? Then we'll have choppy water, some consolidation, a lot of volatility. That's the bullish scenario. But let's be realistic once again, and let's just say, man, and this is me. This is how I'm seeing the charts right now, because I look at this, I go look at an ADA BTC chart. I'm like, all right, the story is playing out. Higher lows. It's playing out. But when I really look at the chart, I'm like, man, I don't like this. I don't like that. When I'm looking at this chart, I don't like that. I like really nice wicks below a trend line and then boom, popping right back up and then starting the uptrend. I don't like that we're about to probably get a weekly close below this trend line on the ADA BTC. Don't like that. Going to be monitoring it. I've been doing these videos for years, been doing analysis for a pretty long time now. And I will say, just because we see a trend line break, it does not mean that is 100% the confirmation. You all know I like to see the trend line repeat or retest, I guess. So maybe we fall right here and we're testing it to the upside. Maybe we come down more. What's the pullback look like at this moment? That's what I evaluate. So yeah, on the very short term, this weekly candle, I don't like seeing it, but it's happening. Gonna monitor that ADA BTC chart. Gonna monitor this area right now. ADA needs to bottom out. It really does on this ADA BTC chart. Going back over to the ADA chart on the daily, this is what we're looking at. It's kind of a similar thing. We have this bullish scenario that we just played out. ADA's bottoming on the dollar and then making that uptrend, going into halving. That is the bullish case scenario. But let's be realistic. We're in this kind of rising wedge. There's obviously room for upside, but ADA's at this lower trend line, testing the lower trend line. You can even just see hovering most recently just below the trend line for days. Right now, how is this candle going to close? Can we get some separation back into the pattern itself for ADA just to make its way, at least to test the 20 around 62 cents. The 50-day is around 65 cents. Can we make it to that range at the very least to test it? Then we see what happens there. We want to see ADA break those moving averages. That's the story. There can be some volatility involved there. You look at this last swing low back here. We kind of hovered in between the two. There was a little bit of a choppiness. Oh man, just testing it, high or low on the daily. It could be like that again, right? High or low. Oh, we're testing it. Boom. So that's kind of the volatility that's involved here in this story. But we have to, again, if you're an ADA bull, we know we know what we want to happen, but we have to be realistic in monitoring, well, what does happen? First off, can ADA break through the lower trend line? And second off, can we break through these moving averages? On the short term for ADA, those are the only things that I'm watching right now. I realize the target to the upside is ridiculous. It's a really nice power move for ADA. It is incredibly in play. It really is. But I can't get hung up on just that bullish scenario. I need to see, and I'm monitoring to see if ADA can break the challenges before itself, the hurdles before itself. And every crypto has this challenge. When we're below moving averages, when we're trying to bottom out, can we get the momentum to the upside that we need on the chart? And right now, from a momentum oscillator perspective, the setup is there. You can see a double bottom here on the RSI before moving higher. We have a double bottom here on the RSI before potentially moving higher. So we're going to monitor. We're going to watch. I just want to say this, everybody. There's a case. Crypto starts falling. ADA will be diverging from previous cycle, and ADA could very well fall with the rest of crypto markets. And it could just be ugly, not just for ADA, but for crypto in general. But at the same time, I'm telling myself this, and this is just for me. I'm sharing my opinion with y'all. It's not even Bitcoin halving yet. So the move that we're getting across the entire crypto space, it's happening earlier this time. So ADA being, in this consolidation phase and being where it is right now, I think it's in a way better spot than where it was last cycle before the halving, right? When it was around 4 to 5 cents or so. This cycle, it's around 50 to 60 cents. So it's stepping stones. It's about pacing ourselves. For me, when I watch the charts on the short term, and even when I watch some of the cryptos that are outperforming Cardano, there's some of them, right? It's frustrating for me to see that at a surface level. But I have to step back and just remind myself, you know what? Where are we in the cycles? What's really happening on the ADA chart? And that's what I'm doing, everybody. So we'll see what happens. Y'all know there's risk to this game. But at the same time, I think it's a good idea, at least for me mentally, to pace myself and watch the data. So hit the subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be careful out there. And I appreciate all of you watching. Have a good start to your week, and God bless.